Welcome back to the Sanders Kitchen. I'm Mike. Today's recipe is broccoli cheddar soup. This is my version of broccoli cheddar soup. I know there's a famous restaurant that makes this soup and it's really good. But this is my version, and I think you'll like it. It's going to be real creamy, and it'll have a lot of broccoli in it, and it tastes great. It's not going to be too salty. So let me show you what's in the ingredients. We're going to start off with some really good olive oil, and we have butter. Of course, we have some chopped carrots. Those are chopped fine. And then we have some garlic and some chopped onion and some all-purpose flour. And then we have some vegetable stock, and of course we have our broccoli florets. And we're going to be using half and half and some extra sharp cheddar cheese. That's going to go in the soup, and then we actually have a little bit on the side for garnishing. We have a little salt and pepper if we need it, and I also am going to put in a couple of dashes of my caliente. And so let me go ahead and get started. It's really easy. If you follow it to the T, it's going to be perfect. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how I'll cut up the carrots and the broccoli. Not that you don't know how to do it. I'm just going to show you how I do it. I think it's important. But one thing I wanted to tell you, it's kind of interesting, is that when we cut the ends off of the carrot, I don't mind cutting a little extra because I'm throwing it in this bowl. Anything that I have left over, I'm throwing it in the bowl from the veggies, and then we're going to transfer it all into this bag. This is my veggie stock bag because I promise you we're going to start making vegetable stock. I always have extra veggie parts, and what do? We throw them in the garbage. So I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm just trying to encourage everyone to start a veggie stock bag, and that way when you get it full, you can make some veggie stock and then put it in the freezer. Let's start by cutting the carrots. Okay, so when you are cutting carrots, your carrot is very thin and narrow at one end, and then it gets real thick at the other. And I know some carrots are even thicker. So what you could do is in the very beginning, you could go ahead and just slice the tip of the carrot real thin, and those little pieces will fit on your spoon just fine, but they're very, very thin. Now, you can go ahead and chop that carrot and cut it right in half, and be real careful you don't cut your fingers. And then you can cut it in half again and squeeze them together, and put your fingernail down on the carrot and let your knife rest up against your finger. That way there's always a little gap between your finger and the blade, and as you cut, you know you're not going to cut in to your finger. And you can just roll your hand back slightly, just walk those fingers back. When you get to the end, naturally you're going to take your time and cut them one little piece at a time so you don't make that error. I guarantee you most chefs can honestly say that they've sent themselves to the hospital once or twice because they thought they had it down pat. But I just want you to be real careful with carrots because these babies can cause you some grief. So you can go ahead and just cut them thin, and the reason why is because you want them to get soft, and you don't want them to have to cook for a long, long, long time. And that is how I cut my carrots. When you're cutting a whole head of broccoli, what you want to do is come up here close to the florets and cut the stem off. Now, let's talk about the stem. What I like to do is cut down, straight down, and take off the outer skin of the stem because the stem is edible. And once you take that off, then I would even trim a little piece off the end, and you can put that in your little bag, your freezer bag for your veggie stock. And here, you can cut this in half and do just like you did with your carrots. Cut that up and cut them in little pieces. We did buy a bag of florets. I would like to cut some of the stem off, and then you can break these up with your hand, or you can just go right down and cut them with a knife right in half, and whoops, and let it go at that. And I'm going to do that because this recipe calls out for 4 to 5 cups of florets, and I don't want my stems taking up a lot of space in my measuring cup. And I want to get a more accurate measurement of florets. So let's go ahead and finish that up, and then we'll start cooking. All right, first thing we'll do is turn that fire up. I actually have already preheated my pot, and I'm going to put in maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. And look, all the ingredients will be in the description, so I don't have to actually sit here and tell you exactly what it is right now. But we're going to let the butter melt. Once the butter melts completely, we're going in with the carrots. Okay, the majority of the butter is melted, so we're going in with all of the carrots. We'll stir that around, and we're going to saute for 3 minutes to try to get these babies soften up. All right, 3 minutes has gone by. We'll put in our garlic and 2 cups of onion. It's not a coarse cut, it's a little bit finer than that, but okay. I'm going to switch over to this spoon. We're just going to continue sauteing on a medium-high heat for another 3 minutes. You want to stir intermittently just so that you can keep the onions on the bottom, keep rotating them around. And we were trying to get these babies to get real soft. So just go for 3 minutes. All righty, it's been 3 minutes. And as you can see, everything's softening up just fine. So the next step is to throw in the flour. It's all in there. And we're just going to stir that up and incorporate the flour into all of those veggies. Just keep stirring. Do your best to make all the flour disappear. Okay. And the next step in this process is to add in a whole box, 32 ounces of vegetable broth. So here we go. I'm going to turn my fire up. I already did. And if you're wondering, this is 32 ounces, which is 4 cups. And that's what we're going in with. Okay. Now we're going to bring it back up to a boil. And then at that time, we'll put in all the broccoli. But if you're a little impatient like I am, you can put the broccoli in now. I think I will. And we'll bring it up to a boil all together. Here we go. All the broccoli going in. Okay. Now that the broccoli is in, we're going to bring it back up to a boil and then simmer it for 10 minutes. We'll hit stop, and that's been 10 minutes. So we'll take the lid off here. Now I did stir this a few times in between. I want you to get a good look. The broccoli cooked down. Everything's nice and soft. And so the next thing to do is to add in the milk, the cream. This is half and half. Okay. All right. And we'll just stir that in. Now the half and half was chilled. I wanted to turn my fire back up. Okay, it's starting to bubble. The next thing I'm gonna do is add in all my cheese. I wanted to wait till it got hot so my cheese will melt in. And that's 3 cups. Well, it sure looks good right now, I'll tell you that. Well, let's give it a taste, because it sure smells good. Guess what? It needs that teaspoon of salt. I promise you, it's just 1 teaspoon. And I mean, that's a pretty level teaspoon. And it's kosher salt, not table salt. So we'll stir that in and we'll give it a taste. All right, so I'm going back down to a very, very low simmer, and to be honest with you, this is cooked. Oh man, that is perfect. This is a beautiful loaf of artisan bread, and we're going to use this to make our bread bowl. So come on and let me show you how I do this. So we're going to find center with a 1 cup measuring cup. Put it about where you like it, and then just cut a little circle with your paring knife, just like that. And then cut through with your knife in that circle and pull it out. Using a nice soup spoon, you can just scoop out some of that bread that's in there. Okay. And there's your hole. Wow, look at this. The bread came out of the oven. It's nice and hot. Let me put this over here. And it's time to serve this bad boy up. So let me grab a little bit and put it right in that bowl. Man, I want to top this with a little green onion, make it look beautiful. That is gorgeous. I can't wait to dig in. Eat a bite of this. So good. So good. This is delicious. You have got to try this. Everything, all the flavors are there. It's perfect. There's a couple of things I want to note to you. While it does taste great, and it really does, you can blend this a little bit with an immersion blender, put it in a food processor. You can, you don't have to have it as chunky. I like it chunky. That's just the way I like it. That's why I like vegetable soup and other soups like that, because they're real chunky. So you can take this where you want, but you have the basic recipe now. And I promise you, you will love the flavor of this. It is great. So I hope you give this a try, and I hope you really, really enjoy it as much as I do. If you like our video today, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well. Go get you some broccoli cheddar cheese soup. You're going to love it. Have a great week or a great weekend, and God bless you.